this is my sacred and profane fountain, which is a rainwater recycling from our archive building, which was just finished last year. And here we have all the models over the years that we've been working on for every project. And we have a kind of racks of models that show the actual process of realizing these buildings. Let's walk inside. An Okolux window that has plans of many buildings. The Herning Museum, VCU, Princeton, a number of the buildings that are in the exhibition. But this was made with this new technique using a film of color in a highly insulated Okolux glass. We have another one over here on this side, more of an abstract, and that forms the kind of entrance to the archive building here. These were donated by Okolux, who did our Magnes Center, which is also in the exhibition. Here you have just some collection of some of the books over the years. We have actually the 5 books by Princeton Architecture Press. My first manifesto, Anchoring, from 1988 and 89, which coincided with the Museum of Modern Art exhibition. Over the years, these capture all the theory and ideas, and this one was just finished in October, Compression, which is most of the projects that are in the Bellevue Art Museum show. But the 5 come together now in a kind of 5-volume set in a limited edition of 25. Other books by Lars Miller over the years, the 90,000 word by Robert McCarter, recent 7 Houses book. But here in the archive, it's all chronologically ordered. So you go back all the way to the Seaside building, my first, let's say, first elevator building. It's a wonderful building, still there. We were there last year in the summer and experienced, this is a kind of ideal a small town building with the arcade and shops on the ground level, offices on the mid-level, and apartments on the upper levels. And there's 5 in the front called the boisterous and 3 in the back called the melancholic types. This building was finished in 1989, and it's still in great shape. And I think today it forms a kind of ideal for a small town life, which I think this moment that we're occupying calls for new visions of de-densification, not large skyscrapers crowded into clusters like the Hudson Yards, but something that's much more connected to the environment, to the air, to the landscape, to the outside, and to social life. There's my first house of any consequence, the Stretto House in Dallas, Texas. Projects that weren't finished, like this project in Port Ludlow for 4 condominiums and a chapel for Paul Schell, bless his soul, he's no longer with us. But this was a very idealistic project he commissioned me for the idea of a small community chapel in Port Ludlow in a development that I think didn't take place. The chapel models, which you have a whole collection of there in the exhibition, but there are many more. We made many study models. This was one studying how the light comes on the inside of the building. So the making, the thinking part is first, but the making part really depends on making many models. Here's the Kiasma building in Helsinki. Here's a solid cast aluminum model. One made out of wood. So I think that the materiality is very important when we're studying what it is we're going to do. We're studying also thinking about space, material, and light. Here's the Nelson Atkins Museum in Kansas City. That's the competition model from the competition. And as you move upstairs, you actually go closer to where we are now in time. Here's a model of our house in Rhinebeck. I call it the Little Tesseract. You can see the U-shaped stone existing building from 1952, a little L-shaped steel frame, open glass, and this kind of warped, what I call Little Tesseract. We've been living in that for the last 20 years. And here's the Iowa College of Art model, which the whole building was realized in Corten steel. So we made the model in steel to get this feeling of the materiality. So this archive building is an experiment in environmental work. It's heated and cooled by a single geothermal well 500 feet deep, and the floors are radiant with the tube 6 inches on center, and I'm happy to say that it works perfectly. It can be 0 degrees outside and it's 70 in here, perfect, and in a hot summer day like today, it's cool and wonderful. So part of that is due to the careful closed cell insulation in the walls and the way the slab is floated on insulation. But the idea of running it on a single geothermal well, I think that's the future. The process of making is an iterative process that we're studying things in model form, then we rethink the concept and criticize the work. So it's not a linear process, it's an iterative process. It goes back and forth and actually never really reaches a conclusion until the building is realized. And hopefully every detail and every part of the building has that kind of power of the energy of the thinking and the making process.